Is it going? All right. Hello, everybody out there in internet land and on the radio. You are tuned into The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. We are here in your ear having the conversations that you need to hear. Hit that like button and hit the share. Get the message out there. Every share, every like, every comment, it helps a lot to help encourage others to get involved and have the important conversations. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of different topics, but we're going to start with the fact that nobody listens to each other anymore, right? Like, that's a serious problem, you know? And Charlie Kirk used to say, you know, when people start listening, things start to get violent and stuff like that. And honestly, let's be real. That's where we are right now in society. People that believe that you have a different opinion than them or a different belief set than you, they want to fight. They want to kill you because they disagree with you. And that's insane to me. How you want to take somebody out because they believe something different than you? That's a serious issue. You know, I had a issue here where I lived the other day. Now, I live in Rochester, New York, and here's a crazy thing. We have this school. It's supposed to be a school of theology. It's called Colgate Divinity. Okay. Now, these people call themselves Christians, but clearly they're not. And you'll say, well, Marcus, well, how do you know they're not Christians? Because they're preaching stuff that goes against the gospel of Jesus Christ. They're preaching stuff that goes against the scripture in the Bible. And they're preaching stuff that is encouraging sin. You don't encourage sin. That's wickedness. That's a problem. So I put up a post and I said, you know, because they were advertising for Pride. And I was like, listen, this goes against scripture. Their title was something like why Pride is important and this, that, and the third and da, 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 da. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Pride is a very serious sin in the Bible. Okay. Pride is a continued theme through the Bible that leads to the ruination and damnation of so many people throughout the Bible. And with them not wanting to actually identify this, and with them out there talking about, oh, this is okay, this is fine. It's not okay. It's not fine. And we need to identify that. But you know, hey, if you can get away with saying something that's against scripture, I guess more power to you. This is what people want. And I'm not about that life. You're not about to sit here and tell me as a Christian that you're out here endorsing and encouraging pride when that goes against our whole scripture. That goes against everything we're about. And I put that, and some people got mad, right? They got mad online. Well, why'd you get mad? We're talking about Christian stuff. You're not even Christian. And it was a whole bunch of those people who support and endorse alphabetism, right? Like the 2, Q, B, C, D, L, F, G, all them letters now, right? Because it's all the letters now. And people would think, oh, well, you're joking. There's no 2 in it. Yes, it is. Go look it up. It's 2 spirits. Okay, that's its whole own nonsense, but they haven't brought that portion to the U.S. very publicly yet, because they know that if they brought that here, a lot of people would flip out because they're like, oh, well, they're not ready for that yet in America. So we'll just give them this part first. You guys got to really understand what's behind this agenda. And I was pointing out, I said, you support all of this alphabetism. This isn't about alphabetism. This is about Christian business. This organization is saying that they're Christian and they're teaching a complete false doctrine. And everybody in the comments is, oh, how dare you, and this and that, and everybody can have their own beliefs, and this, that, and the third, and da, 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 and Jesus this, and scripture that. You're not Christian. Don't tell me about scripture. You're not Christian. You're not a believer. Don't tell me about scripture. And there are these people that are out here endorsing this nonsense that are calling themselves Christians. And that is a very, very serious problem. Hit the like button and hit the share button. Get this out there. I'm going to try to pop up your comments as they come in as much as possible. So drop some comments below. I see you, Ether Shakur. Keep commenting. Thank you. So every comment helps a lot. But as we have this conversation, my post was strictly and solely in relation to Christianity, in relation to Christians. So if you're not Christian, this post had nothing to do with you. But they felt personally like it was something about them, right? It wasn't about them. It wasn't about them at all. It was about Christianity. It was about this group that calls themselves Christians talking about why pride is important and how we need to be prideful and all of this and all of that. But that's wrong. And they did it during Pride Month. If you're on the radio, I'm using air quotes around that. Okay. And this is a problem because the Bible tells us, one, pride in and of itself is a problem. And then you look at my comments from the people that are commenting on this that aren't even Christian, and it shows nothing but pure self-aggrandizing pride. Because they took it like it was about themselves. They took it like it was about alphabetism and just a general concept. No, it was specifically about people that are out there calling themselves Christian, and they're not even Christian at all. So why are you in my comments commenting, making it about yourself? But we see this happen all too often. When somebody believes that you're disagreeing with them or you hold some sort of a conceptualization that is different from their own, they're ready to fight. They want to track you down and they want to put you in the ground. Why is that? First of all, wasn't nobody talking to you, wasn't nobody talking about you, but you also believe that this has something to do with you when it doesn't. It was very clear. I said, these people are fake Christians. You're not Christian. Why are you commenting on my post? This is the real conversation. Hey, Bobby, I see you there. Drop a like, drop a comment, get this message out there, share the video, and make sure you subscribe. So as we have these conversations, it's like, bro, nobody's talking about you. I'm trying to have a conversation about Christianity with other people that are onlookers that are Christian. Because do you know how many people that are Christian don't know that these people are out here committing open heresy and blasphemy? Like, are you serious? Like, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. Thank you, Bobby, for subbing. Appreciate you. So we have these issues with people that are mad at us or will get mad at you for being a Christian and your doctrine when you're correcting somebody else who claims to be Christian because they don't agree with you. First of all, you don't agree with my religion at all. You don't agree with my religion at all. Why are you even commenting? You understand what I'm saying? Like, if the Satanists wanted to go back and forth with the Satanists against each other, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's their own house. If the Jews wanted to go back and forth with each other about Judaism, ain't got nothing to do with me. That's their own house. If the Islamists, if the Islam people, the Muslims and the Islamists wanted to go back and forth again, not to do with me, that's to do with their internal stuff. You understand what I'm saying? And this is really, 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 really the issue, right? People get mad and people get upset because of what you as an individual believe and hold true personally. You don't even have to say anything to them. You don't even have to say anything about them. And this is noted by this conversation that I was having in relation to other Christians. There was one person that commented on there, and I liked what they said. You know, they were like, "Oh, look at them tearing each other apart." Good. At least that person understands that this is an internal conflict. You understand? But all these other people nosing in other people's business, trying to jump in there and get out all up in there. You know what I'm saying? What they say, you all in the Kool-Aid don't even know the flavor. Then got the audacity to try to quote scripture. Who are you quoting scripture to? You don't know anything about scripture. And even if you did, what do they say? The devil knows scripture. You know what I'm saying? The devil knows scripture more than better than anybody else. The devil tried to get into Jesus' face and tell him all about the scriptures and all about the teachings, and that's Jesus. So, like, let's be real. Now, I talk about this because this is it's just a symptom of a bigger issue. I had a meeting yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yesterday evening about RG&E, where we live. RG&E is the energy provider, right? So they do the energy delivery. So I had a meeting in relation to that. And there were these people on there that we clearly didn't see eye to eye as far as priorities. So I asked a whole bunch of questions. I was very respectful. I only asked the questions in relation to what they were saying their solutions were and what they wanted to do, you know? So I said, and I asked the questions and they couldn't answer the questions. Well, sugar, it ain't my plan. My plan's different than your plan. And what you're telling me is completely nonsensical. Like, you don't have any way to actually show that what you're talking about is going to actually lower the energy costs, right? So I was just like, you know what? Let's continue the conversation. Now, here I go asking them questions, but not like mean questions, not like cutting questions, but questions directly in line with what they're on about. And they couldn't answer them. And they got upset. They got upset because they couldn't answer them. It's not my fault you don't have the research to back up what you're saying. It's your solution. You should know the information to the basic questions that I'm asking you. I'm like, well, how can you guarantee that it's going to save money? Well, we don't know. That's why we need to spend $500,000 on a study. And then the study might come back that it doesn't save us any money, but we just spent $500,000 on a study. You sound stupid to me. What do you mean you want my tax dollars to pay $500,000 on a study that might come back and might say that we can't even buy the energy source that the energy provider that you're talking about, deliverer rather, that you're talking about, because it's going to be too expensive? So who's stupid? Like, you're telling me that, oh, well, we're just trying. Basically, what you're telling me is that you're just going to try to spend the money however which way you can. So even if the result comes out that we can't create a public utility because it's going to cost us too much, we've just lost out on $500,000, which you demanded that we spent. But you have no information to lead me to believe that even creating a public utility based on what you're saying is going to lower the prices. No information, just wishes, hopes, and dreams. Like, I can't operate on that. I can't operate on that. You can't answer the basic questions about your own plan. Who made that plan? Did you pull it out your bum? Did you pull it out the sky? Did it come out the ground? Like, did a random person fax it over to you at 3 a.m. in the morning? Like, how do you not know the basic answers? You know, but this again, this goes back to having conversations with people that don't necessarily agree with you. When you ask them questions that they don't know the answer to, they get mad. They get mad because they want to take it personally. It's not, your ignorance is not my personal problem. You mad because you don't know. Why don't you go get the information? Why don't you go find out? Like, what are we doing here? And yes, ma'am, and the people are going to suffer. That's exactly that. Because you can't guarantee me that a public utility is going to actually lower the rates. Now, if you're listening and you know the conversation about a public utility being set for RG&E, you know that we got some serious issues with RG&E. They're a trash company, right? No offense, full facts, because they always billing somebody wrong and they always figuring some way to mischarge you, right? But they're not responsible for the rates that keep going up. That's the state assembly. That's the state senate. That's the PSC, okay? The Public Service Commission. That's all of these different people, not the actual energy deliverer, right? So when people have these conversations, oh, we're going to make it a public utility, bet. Guess what, you guys? I support it being a public utility. I have for years. But you're telling me you want to spend $500,000 of my tax dollars to figure out if it might be feasible to buy it. No, that is not good enough for me. You need to come with numbers ahead of time. They're like, oh, well, we don't know how much it'll cost or whatever. That's why we need to do a study. No, you sound dumb. Okay, you need to go through whatever is publicly accessible or the most recent data that you can find, and you need to extrapolate from that how much the cost of buying this place would be, how long it would take us to pay it off, and how much extra burden that's going to put on the individual citizens. Because what you're doing is, instead of it being across millions of people and the bill being spread across millions of people, now you're talking about it's only going to be Monroe County, which is roughly 360,000 homes. Okay, that's way less than 3.5 million. Okay, that's way less. So how much is my bill going to go up? Right? And the whole conversation and the whole argument here right now is somebody says, what they say? They mad because they suffering too. No, they're not suffering. The people that are pushing this is the trick. The people that are pushing this are not suffering. Metro Justice, the Red Energy Program, the Green people, they're not suffering like that. This is all about ideology. It's not about actually delivering for our citizens. That's what the problem is. And that's always a problem with government, but this is the problem with these nonprofits and these other people that are ideologues that have no clue and no knowledge about anything to do with energy, don't actually really care about the people and care more about their personal pride. Here we go with the pride again, right? Their personal pride and their personal concepts of what should be done. It's all nonsense and it's all BS. Okay? It's all nonsense and it's all BS. Now, let me ask you a question, right? If we're going to buy out this big multi-billion-dollar corporation and we're only taking a part of the infrastructure, who's going to be paying for the maintenance and the upkeep of that infrastructure, right? Like, it's simple math. If you got less people paying for a more consolidated amount of infrastructure, that means the cost per person for that infrastructure is going to go up. So how are you going to save us money? Tell me that. Explain it to me like I'm 5, bro. How you going to save us money, right? Tell it to me. Make it make sense, y'all. Drop some comments, hit the like, and get this message out there. Hit the share button. Definitely subscribe and follow, okay? Then we also got it where RG&E keeps asking for the state to allow them to increase the rates, right? So they're asking them to increase the rates. They're saying, listen, state, we're not making enough profit to really be in business anymore. We need to raise the rates to make it more feasible. We can't even address the issues to upkeep the infrastructure. We need to raise rates, right? And every time they go to the state keeps telling them yes, right? So you got to ask yourself, why is the state telling them yes? Does the state recognize that that is a serious burden to the energy company so that they actually really do need to raise rates because of how much stuff is costing? Yeah, they do recognize that. Do I like that the state is passing those bills to raise the energy rates? Absolutely not. I don't like it. I understand it, but me understanding it doesn't change the fact that it's happening. Now check this out, because now let's put it all together, right? It's happening because the cost of energy keeps increasing. And they're telling us that their bottom line is going down and down and down and down. Okay, so if the business is making less money and they're saying that you guys need to raise energy prices so that they can make some more money to stay afloat, what happens when we take it over as a public utility? Explain it to me like I'm 5, y'all. If we take it over as a public utility, that the rates are still going to be going up for the cost of gas and electric. So if the rates are going to still cost our new public utility a lot of money and they're going to keep increasing, that means that our new public utility is going to have to increase costs or they're going to have to suffer a deficit. And if they suffer a deficit, that means they don't got enough money to pay for the upkeep of the infrastructure, which means that we're going to have more power outages and more problems. It means that they're not going to be able to pay employees. So make it make sense. So then, therefore, our public utility would have to ask to raise rates. So here we are back in the same situation we started in. So explain it to me like I'm 5, how your plan actually lowers our energy costs. It doesn't. It's a wish. It's a hope. It's a dream. It's a woozy. It's a woozy. It's a fictitious thing. But they selling it to you like it's good. You're right. It is very frustrating. It is extremely frustrating. And again, like I said, I'm in favor of it becoming a public utility, but you're selling me a false bill of goods. You're selling me a false bill of goods. You're telling me that it's going to save us money. Bet. I'm with you. It's going to save us money. How? How is it going to save us money? It reminds me of that episode of South Park. If you guys ever seen South Park, there's this one episode with the underwear gnomes, right? The underwear gnomes steal the underwear, and they have a chart. And the guy's like, well, why are you guys stealing underwear? You know, and the underwear gnomes had a chart. It said step 1, steal underpants. Step 2, step 3, profit. Well, wait a second. What was step 2? Step 2 is just a blank question mark. Step 3 is profit. This is what they're telling me. Step 1, create public utility. Step 2, question mark. Nobody knows. Step 3, save money and lower energy costs. What the heck is step 2? Like, why are you playing in my face? Like, you just saying stuff and then expect me to jump into it. Somebody said they're telling you it's 14 karat gold and it's really gold plated. That is a fact. That is an absolute fact. This is what's going on. And these people are pushing this nonsense, and it's very, very problematic because they want to encourage people to believe what they think is true because it sounds good. Don't let these people sell you false bill of goods. If they are telling you that it's going to have some result, they need to have numbers on paper, how it's going to work out. They need to have a complete plan. They just can't tell you one thing and then you just be like, oh yeah, that's what it is. It is what it is, exactly that. No, it's not, because usually it's not that. They're all playing in your face. Why? Because they actually benefit from that. This is for real. And people need to understand that. They really do. Now, I want to go and I want to talk about a couple of other things. Let's jump to some stuff across the country and across the world. So talking about people playing in your face when it comes to policy and when it comes to budget and stuff like that, we just were told by the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, okay, we were just told by her that they discovered 230 something biolabs across 30 different countries that the United States is financing and has been paying for. Did you know that? Did you know that? Most people didn't know that because they're not talking about it. That's wild to me. We're paying for biolabs, okay, in other countries, not our own country. In other countries, probably to skirt different laws and legal situations in the US while creating biological weapons and all types of stuff like that. But you're not about to create a biological weapon and have my funding, my tax dollars going to creating no biological weapon in no other biolab in another country. I don't know that that's secure. I don't trust none of these other countries. Why would I trust these other countries? Not with a bioweapon. You sound dumb. Like, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. And somebody said, I thought they was lying. No, remember at first it was during COVID, but really it kicked off hard during the start of the Ukraine war, because we had I think it was something like 30 to 45 biolabs over in Ukraine. Now, why would we have all of these biolabs creating biological weapons and doing all of these studies in Ukraine, which is a known extremely corrupt nation? Ukraine's known as one of the most corrupt nations in the history of the world, especially in the history of the modern world. So why would you have biolabs over in Ukraine? Make it make sense. So allegedly, we took all of this stuff out of there as Russia was advancing, blah, 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 blah. You understand what I'm saying? So that was a thing that was on news for like 2 seconds. But if you wanted to talk about it, they tell you that never happened. That wasn't true. And it's not right. So somebody says, yes, I talked about that the other day, but have known since the Ukraine war broke out. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. But when you talk about this stuff, people are like, oh, no, that's not happening, because they don't want to conceptualize that there is actual real evil in the world. And why can't we have that conversation? There is real evil in the world. There are bad people really in the world. And we need to make sure that we're identifying what's actually going on and having real conversations. But people don't want you to have real conversation because, again, if it goes against what they believe personally or makes them I guess you'd say rethink what their preconceived notions are, then they got a problem. And then they get mad at you. Then they want to fight because you made them question their confirmation bias, or what's the other one? Mirrored bias, something like that. Okay. You know, and this is the problem. This is what we're dealing with right now in our country. Where is this on the news, bro? 230 something biolabs across 30 different countries with your tax money creating biological weapons? But the Democrats is all on TV talking about Trump this, Trump that. Hello, no. Later for Orange Man, bad. I want to know about these freaking hundreds of biolabs across the world that we're funding and what they're studying and what the heck is actually going on. You understand what I'm saying? For me, I'm not a big war person, but if I am, I'm a conventional warfare person, right? But you're out here talking about biological agents and things that are viruses that'll destroy your nervous system and all types of other stuff that they're experimenting on. But worst of all, they're experimenting on this stuff, not even inside the US, so we don't even really have any control or knowledge of how secure they are, right? You know what else we were funding? The lab in Wuhan that COVID escaped from, okay? Then they want to play in your face, say, oh, well, maybe somebody was eating some bats and it came from the bats. Ain't nobody getting no thing from no bats. Who's stupid? You must be stupid believing that somebody ate some bats and they got a flu virus from some bats. Stop it. Stop it. They try to play you any type of way, which they want to. Somebody said all of them is communists. Somebody said, I remember Wuhan. Yeah. And what did Trump say when he was in office then? Right? He said, it's not a big deal. It's just like the flu. Don't worry about it. Because it is just like the flu. It is a neurovirus. It is the flu. Regular flu is also a COVID virus. Like, what are we even talking about? But then you couldn't talk about that because if you talked about that, they try to shut you down, deplatform you, and all of this. So it's a problem. It's a serious, serious issue. And where are we talking about this on the news now with these biolabs? Like, I'm not upset. I'm pissed. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even pissed. Like, that's a misnomer, right? Like, I'm livid. Livid is 5 steps past pissed. You know, like, hello, biolabs. And you out here talking about the Orange Man is having a cage match at the White House. Later for that cage match, talk to me about these biolabs. You understand what I'm saying? Mad at a cage match. Who's stupid? You stupid. Stop trying to distract me from legitimate things. All right, if you guys are watching us online, hit the like button, hit the share button. Make sure you're subscribed or following. Help us get the message out there. Drop some comments. I'm going to pop your comments up as we go. Let me put this plug in real quick. You guys are listening to The Divide on with Marcus C. Williams on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. And we are glad that you are here and we are in your ear having those conversations that you need to hear. So let's jump back into it. So as we talk about these biolabs, where's it in the news, y'all? Explain it to me. Where is it in the news? I don't see it. But you know what I did see in the news the other day? It was the New York Times talking about, oh, North Korea is so advanced. North Korea is so nice. North Korea is treating their people great. They even have brick oven delivery pizza. North Korea, y'all? Y'all out here running water for North Korea? Y'all playing in our face like that? Y'all playing in our face like that. Our news periodicals are in the United States talking about North Korea is so great. Prison. Straight prison. I don't know. You call it what you want. Sedition, treason, whatever. Okay. I don't care what you label it. Prison. Okay. Out here talking about North Korea is so great. Who's stupid? Who's stupid? It is BS. That's exactly what it is. And this is what we're dealing with. We've got our own people inside our country running and carrying water for the enemies of our nation. They're out here talking all types of game for North Korea, bro. Like, you simping for North Korea? Like, out of all the countries, and then you look at a couple months ago, they were simping out here for Cuba. And you listen to all the people that have escaped from Cuba or escaped from North Korea. They're like, man, this some BS for real. They treat people real wrong. They be out here torturing people, killing people, murdering people. People is starving. People is out here eating bugs and rats and stuff like that. You understand what I'm saying? Not because they want to, because they have to. So this is a serious conversation. So we got these people that are in our country that are communists, socialists, Marxists, and they're all running these, I don't know what you call it, propaganda infiltration campaigns for the enemies of the United States of America, for the enemies of democracy and the republic. Like, what are we doing here? Like, what are we doing here? And where are the Democrats to call them out on that? I ain't hear one Democrat say anything about the New York Times over here simping for North Korea. First of all, how you get in North Korea to talk about they're delivering brick oven pizzas? So we got so many things that we need to be talking about. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Somebody said they don't like black people. That's a fact. But they play in our face all the time, try to use us to actually act like they care, but they don't. Somebody said Cubans want Trump to hit Cuba next. I hope so, bro. I really hope so. You know why? And I take it a little different than some people do. Cuba's part of the United States of America. We should have never gave it up. Okay, the Spanish-American Civil War, the Spanish-American War, all this other nonsense, blah, blah, blah. Okay, go look it up. But we should have never gave up Cuba to begin with. Cuba was part of the U.S. and it needs to be brought back into the U.S. I don't care if you make it a territory. I don't care if you make it protectorate. It needs to be part of the U.S. again. Okay. Viva Cuba. Okay. You understand what I'm saying? Also, I feel the same thing with the Philippines, except we owe the Philippines a very serious apology. Okay. Because when they were part of the U.S., we didn't treat them so hot. Okay. So Philippines, come back, baby. Come back. Come home. Come home. Okay. And I mean that with every moral fiber. Okay. I mean, all of that. Cuba needs to come back. The Philippines need to come back. Okay. And we need to make it happen. Make it so. So hopefully something does happen and we actually do start addressing these issues. Somebody says we need to give up Puerto Rico too. We're not giving up nothing. We're acquiring more stuff, the stuff that we've always had. Plus, giving up Puerto Rico would be terrible for Puerto Ricans, no matter how much they want to try to act like it isn't. Because, I mean, look at everybody else down there. I mean, outside of the Dominican Republic, which the Dominican Republic's jacked up too, ain't nobody out there doing so hot unless they're solely owned and taken over by all of these extremely wealthy people, you know, like Antigua, Barbados, and all of these other places. You know, I mean, where's the trade-off, right? Where's the trade-off? Plus, if we let go of Puerto Rico right now, all of these rich people that own everything down in Puerto Rico, I don't know if you know what's going on in Puerto Rico, but it's mad shady business going on down there. Same thing's happening in Hawaii. All these rich people buying up everything, kicking out the people that have been there for generations. It's a serious, serious problem. So I'm not posting that. I saw it, but I'm not posting that. Stop it. I love them. That's some of my favorite people. Okay. Anyway, drink water, stay hydrated. So as we have these important conversations and these people are out here simping for the enemies of America, we have to understand that we also have these other people that are trying to deteriorate our nation from the inside. And if we don't talk about that, nothing's going to be done and nothing is going to change. You know, I think that really seriously, one of the biggest issues that we have right now are these people attempting to destroy our nation from the inside. It's a big, serious issue. Let me take this hoodie off. I'm hot as all good get up, y'all. Hold tight. Okay. So yeah, hit the like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. Somebody said, got a friend that was pushed out of Hawaii. It's 100% fact that it's happening. See, and we don't see that in the news. We don't see what's going on. That happened in Alameda, where those forest fires, I'm using air quotes if y'all on the radio, where those forest fires happen in California. Them forest fires didn't happen by mistake. They burnt down places down so that they can redevelop them. Some people say they burnt them down so they can turn it into a 15-minute city over there. Okay. That's probably got something to do with it. I'm fairly certain. Okay. But I know that they burnt them down on purpose and now they're redeveloping and they won't let people build on their own land or restore their own houses. Make that make sense. And the same thing is happening in Hawaii from the Loana fires. Okay. So this is real serious. And whatever happened to the other Maui fires too, right? Whatever happened to that? You don't even hear about any of that. And you know that they only gave them people a little teeny bit of money and then told them that they can't build on their land, they can't camp on their land, and they can't even come into their land. Like, what type of crazy nonsense? Evil. And this is happening. Somebody said this goes so deep, much deeper than the US. It's global BS. It is global BS. And I want to talk about that in a couple of quick seconds here, but we're going to get to that in a second. So yeah, somebody says, I see less of this on the news. Yeah, because why would the news cover this stuff? It'd be too much like right. This is what we see that's going on in our nation that's not talked about. But they'll talk about the president and his cage match. I don't care about no president and his cage match. President want to have a cage match, let him have his cage match. Then they're like, oh, well, all of the people from other states should pull out of the national fair. You want to pull out of the are you retarded? Like, are you dumb? Your brain don't work so much? You hate Trump so much, something that is for our nation, you don't want to do on the 250th anniversary of our nation. You's a fool. Not only are you a fool, you're evil. Okay? So, like, dumb stuff, right? Like, they hate Orange Man bad so much, you have to actually start asking yourself, do these people in power really hate this man? Because that's a lot, right? Like, at some point, you're like, hold on. Maybe there's some game there that they're running on us. Maybe they don't hate this man that much. Maybe they just see the opportunity to use what he's doing to create distractions to actually throw off the scent of what they're doing. Oh, now that might be too much of a real conversation that a lot of people ain't ready for, because they do it in New York State where I live all the time, right? You know, we were talking about the energy here earlier and the issues here. And then New York State people were like, oh, Trump this, Trump that. Well, hold on now. Trump don't got nothing to do with the energy in New York State. Trump's trying to get you guys to open pipelines and do more natural gas extraction. So if anything, he's trying to come up with a solution. And y'all talking about he's the reason? Who's stupid? You make the state laws. He doesn't make the state laws. You're trying to distract us. You're trying to distract us with somebody that is a good bad guy. Because so many people think Orange Man bad. So they'll just, whatever you say about the Orange Man, they're like, oh, it's like a taught reaction. It's like Pavlov's dogs. If you're not familiar with Pavlov's dogs, essentially what it was is they were given a treat when they heard a bell. And when they heard a bell, they were given a treat. So when they heard a bell and they weren't given a treat, their mouth still salivated looking for that treat. So when these people say Trump, their brain automatically clicks off because they're trained, Orange Man bad. You understand what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter what they're distracting them from. It could be somebody could be like, you know, the sky is falling. Orange Man bad. Oh my goodness, Orange Man bad. Just completely forget about the sky is falling. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? This is a very, very serious problem. What does it say? It needs to say, oh, breathing is good. So somebody said Trump needs to say that breathing is good. But this is the type of level of idiocracy that we're living in. It doesn't matter what that man does. It is a good key for a distraction from everything else. Look at Tim Walz, right? He basically destroyed Minnesota, okay? Is it Minnesota? It's Minnesota, right? Yeah, it's Minnesota. He basically destroyed that state, bankrupted the state, okay? Lost all of that federal funding, all of that money, all of this fraud is going on. What do you say? Orange Man bad. And everybody's like, yeah! Wild. It's wild. It's absolutely wild what's going on. It's crazy to me, you know? Then they got these other people out here right now, okay, talking about, oh, well, Trump is doing NASCAR and Trump is doing a ballroom and Trump is doing, I don't care. I don't care. You understand what I'm saying? I don't care what he's doing. Tell me about some of the policy. Tell me about some of the budgetary things that you're trying to do. Tell me about it. Tell me about Congress. Tell me about the state assembly. Tell me about the state senate. I do not care about some man having some circuses, which clearly you are using his circuses to distract us. Stop it. Somebody said if he farted, oh man, that'd be on the news cycle for like 3 weeks. But it's serious. It's absolutely serious. And what we see happening is nothing more than a distraction. You know, I saw something the other day. It said, the bread is still and the circuses are boring. And that's the way I feel, you know, like this is what they're giving us. They're giving us a little pittance of nothingness. And they're trying to tell us, oh, well, this is good for you or it's for your own good. Whenever the government tells you that something is for your own good, you immediately need to question it. I don't care who's in office. I don't care what level of government is. I don't care whose team it is. The government never does anything in your best interest almost 99% of the time. And even that 1% of the time, when they do something that's in your interest, it's because it somehow benefits them. And this is for real. Somebody said we're all grown preschoolers. I swear to goodness, you know, it's like, did you see the hairstyle that Trump had today? Stop it. Did you see little Susie, her barrettes, how she had 2 different color barrettes? Like, it's wild. It's really wild. But this is where we are. This is where we are in society. Hit the like button, hit the share button, drop some comments. I'm going to pop them up on the screen as we go. So now what we're dealing with internationally, let's bring Iran into the conversation. Okay, let's bring in Iran. Okay, what's going on in Iran? A little bit over here, a little bit over here. Trump is a bad man because he went to war with Iran. Okay, is he? What about the wars that he stopped? Is he a good man for that? Or is he a bad man because he stopped those other wars? I'm trying to figure out what the litmus test is, right? For good and bad. It seems like they only have one setting when it comes to him. And it's that one setting that leads to a massive distraction. Okay? It leads to a massive distraction. And this is a problem because right now we have one of our local elected officials here, okay, who was like, oh, you know, Trump is going to give them something like, I think, what did he say? 7 million. I think he wrote 7 million. $7 million, or it might have been 70 million. It could have even been 700 million. It doesn't matter how much it was. It was less than $1 billion. I think it was 700 million. Trump is going to give $700 million to Iran for signing the peace deal or whatever the case is. If that's the case, we should have just kept the JOTCA or whatever the letters are for that. The Obama plan with Iran, the Iran missile deal. You know what I'm saying? The Iran nuclear deal, they call it all the time. So if we did that, we should have just kept that. Obama put 1.7 million, or was it 7.1 billion? I don't know. It was billions, right? He was comparing it to billions. And I'm like, first of all, if you ask me, we shouldn't give them $1 or a dime. Okay. And I don't want to give them nothing. I'm sick and tired of blowing people up. And then like, oh, we're going to give them money to fix their country. I don't want to build their nation up. Okay. If anything, I want to bomb their nation some more. I want to turn the rubble into dust. I want to turn the dust into glass. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we rebuilding places that we blew up? Did we blow them up by mistake? Like, what are we doing? However, anyway, the point is exactly not 1 red cent. The point is that $700 million wouldn't even come out of American coffers, y'all. That would come from their money that are frozen assets. Okay, but we can't have that conversation, see, because that would be too much like right, and that would be too much like possibly saying something positive about Trump. And you can't say anything that even borders positive about him, or you're the evil person. Somebody says he's working on a rocket Ukraine to stop the war. We'll get a deal. Yeah, they are working on a Ukraine deal now with Russia and Ukraine. So that's good. They were talking about that today. We'll talk about it in a second. Somebody says 700 million. Okay, good. Thank you for that. Yeah, so this is what's going on right now. Okay. And they want to say, oh, well, he's cost us this money with this war, whatever the case is. And then somebody had the audacity to say, well, we're going to have to spend this money rebuilding our military bases because Iran blew up some of our military bases, and they wouldn't have blown up our military bases if Trump wouldn't have engaged with them in conflict. First of all, that's what the bases are for. That's what forward bases are for. they're for planning, they're for listening, they're for collecting intelligence, they're for monitoring the warfare situation, and that makes them targets at any given time. Any given time, peacetime, wartime, dinner time. You understand what I'm saying? This is a serious, serious issue. Okay, so what do you mean? What do you mean they blew up our bases? Duh. And you think that if we let them get more missiles, they wouldn't have blown up our bases more? Who's stupid? One of the things that Marco Rubio said, I'm starting to really like Marco Rubio. If there's two people in the cabinet right now that I like a lot, it's Marco Rubio and Bissett, who is the head of the Treasury. I didn't think I was going to like him. I'm going to be 100% honest. I thought Bissett was going to be this pretentious, up his own behind guy because he comes from the finance world, and usually all of those are serious tools. But not only is he got some good policy, he talks really well, and he seems to be really well versed. Honestly, I'd almost consider him for the next Secretary of State. Hey, it is what it is. I like to watch him talk about all the different aspects of so many things. He wears more hats than Rubio does. Like, he's a Department of Treasury, and he's out here talking about all of this other stuff. I'm like, wow, that's actually really impressive, and his views are really good. But anyway, back to the point. Okay, so Marco Rubio put out, he said basically what they were doing is they were trying to get a conventional missile shield, which means that they were trying to create so many missiles that basically nobody could compete with them, that we wouldn't be able to touch them if we wanted to. And that was one of the big reasons why we needed to actually prevent that, because, as we know, they are funding terrorist organizations, and they are funding people that are against our issue as Americans and that hate us. Like, that's not secret hidden news. That's not top secret information. That's stuff that people have known since before I've been born. This isn't new news, And then they were like, oh, well, this, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. And Trump is mean for attacking them, and it's Trump's fault. And I said, well, wait a second. You didn't talk about anything about the sanctions that were put on Iran to begin with by Jimmy Carter. You didn't talk about any of the increased crazy sanctions that were put on Iran by Bill Clinton. You didn't talk about any of that. You didn't talk about any of that. And that's another problem. That is another problem. What we see is all of these people that know so much but don't know enough. You understand what I'm saying? They know enough to be mad, but not enough to explain the history of what's going on there and how we've gotten to this point. I'm not really, I do take a lot of issue with them being like, oh, Iran's going to have a nuke. Iran's going to have a nuke. Iran's going to have a nuke. I take issue with that, right? Because how many years is they going to have a nuke for? They almost got a nuke. Stop it. Stop it. I'm not alarmed. Let them blow something up now. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, prove it to me at this point. Okay. So, but this is a real serious issue, right? Like, enemy as strong as Iran, with as much going on as Iran, which is with as much territory as Iran, is a problem. Not only do they have a regular military, they got the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, which are these extreme zealots that are willing to do anything and give them their lives and everything, even in all types of crazy type of activities, just to push against the US and other countries that are our allies. Like, we really have to be cognizant of that. We're not fighting on an even playing field. So this is very serious. Somebody said no emotional intelligence or common sense intelligence. So it's true. It's true. And we are seriously seeing some very serious issues right now. So with Iran being tore up and beat up, they a little wobbly right now, right? So we need to do what we can to get them to sign these new peace deals or whatever. So Trump over the weekend announced these peace deals that we're working on. It's supposed to be I believe it's 90 days. Don't quote me on that. Could be 60 days, but I believe it's 90 days. Essentially cessation of hostilities. What do they call that? A ceasefire, right? So we got a ceasefire now, right? So hopefully we'll build that into a whole complete peace treaty or whatever the case is. If Israel don't stop blowing up people and causing problems when we're over here trying to put an end to this and put this baby to bed. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're trying to settle a score with somebody and you're like, you know what? Let's just be easy. Let's just walk away. And then you got your cousin. Yeah, man. And I believe. What is you doing? We were almost good. We almost had this solved. Here you go, doing all type of crazy stuff. Now they out there blowing up Lebanon, talking about they're going to occupy southern Lebanon. What are you doing, Israel? Occupying southern Lebanon? Okay? Like, this is a problem. And then you can't talk about that, because if you start talking about Israel or asking any questions about Israel, you're bad. You're a bad person because you question Israel. You must be anti-Semitic. Okay? Like, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Somebody said the Iranian people are not happy with Trump making the deal. Well, a lot of people aren't happy with Trump making the deal. But this is the point. We need a cessation of hostilities so we can get the flow of oil back up and running before it really becomes a problem. Not that we need their oil, but remember, a big part of this is about China. Okay. And I try to remind people, a lot of this stuff that's going on in the world that the US is doing is to punch China in the lip. Okay. We didn't get him a busted eye. We didn't get him a fat lip. And we didn't get him a bloody nose. We out here kicking China's behind, and we need to kick it some more, but that's a separate conversation. But Iran was working with China on BRICS, okay, which was supposed to be like an alternative trade bloc outside of the US's control, outside of the SWIFT banking system and all of this other stuff. If you're not familiar with SWIFT, go look it up. Essentially, it's a banking protocol where they exchange information, and that's how most banks do business internationally. But it's a very, very serious issue. It's a very serious issue. And what we see is this. We see that the US is over here going after Iran. Okay, well, why are we going after Iran? People are like, oh, well, it's the oil. Partially, but not how you think. It's to stop the oil from going to China. It's to hurt China. And I support anything that hurts China pretty much. Okay, because China is the worst enemy we have ever fought as a nation, and they are continually doing everything that they can to destroy our nation, and people don't even see it. Ecological warfare, psychological warfare, biological warfare. What do you think that fentanyl is? You understand what I'm saying? How do all the precursor chemicals and stuff come from China? That's them. That's biological warfare. Then they got ecological warfare, where they got, you might have seen it a couple weeks ago, where they were creating those mold spores and stuff like that. They caught those Chinese people smuggling in the mold spores that are highly aggressive and would be able to destroy a lot of American crops. Like, these people ain't nothing to play with. Then you saw the Chinese biolabs in the US where they're making all of these biological agents to, what do you think they're going to do with them? You know what I'm saying? What do you think they're going to do with them? Drink them? You know what I'm saying? They just want to make some toilet wine. They want to make some moonshine. No, they're creating biological weapons to use against the United States populace. They don't have no private, secret, top secret bio labs in the US for anything good. China is one of the most devious enemies we've ever had. So it's very, very serious. Somebody said, don't get me started with China. Yep. It's very serious. So we look at what happened in Venezuela. That was because of China. We look at what's going on with Cuba. That's because of China. We look at what happened in Peru. That was because of China. If you're not familiar with Peru, I'm not going to go into that too deep today, but go look that up. We look at what's happening in Colombia right now. That was because of China. Okay. And you look at what happened with Panama because of China. You look at what is happening right now with Nicaragua. I hope we do something about Nicaragua. Okay. I got a lot of thoughts on Nicaragua. I got thoughts on Nicaragua since Noriega. So I don't even want to talk about that. That Nicaragua just pisses me off. Okay. I think we've had bad policy on Nicaragua since before I was born. Okay. So, but it's real serious. Somebody says Bill Gates is right with them. I didn't even talk about the ticks or the mosquitoes yet. We'll get there. We'll get there. So, but yeah, so it's real serious. And as we start to talk about these issues, you know, they don't want you to put a comprehensive vision together of what's actually going on with Iran. Because if you did, then maybe we'd say, oh, well, maybe Israel isn't serving our best interests. Of course, they're not serving our best interests because they're their own nation state. But if you say that, you're anti-semantic, okay? You're anti-citrus, okay? You know, this is the problem. Don't be anti-citrus, y'all. Don't be anti-citrus. That's my message to you. Don't be anti-citrus. But that's what they tell you. You know, you're anti this, you're anti that, because you're talking about another nation state, which is a nation state, right? Like, are they not their own country? Okay. And their own country has their own issues and they have their own interests. Okay. And militarily, clearly, their interests sometimes conflict with ours. That's what's happening in Iran right now. But you can't talk about that because if you do, you're anti-citrus. And don't be anti-citrus. It's not good, you guys. So this is the problem. This is the problem. And then somebody be like, oh, well, you're anti-citrus. What do you mean? What do you mean? Because I identified that a foreign country that is supposed to be our ally is doing stuff that's actually not good for us and what we're trying to do. What are we going? What's going on? What's going on? China says, somebody said China's racist against other flat faces. That's funny. But China doesn't like anybody else that's not them. That's a whole separate conversation. But as we talk about this right now, Israel's invading southern Lebanon and they're taking parts of southern Lebanon, knowing that Trump has been like, you guys leave Lebanon alone. You guys leave Lebanon alone. You guys leave Lebanon alone. And what they're doing, no, we're just going to go a little bit in. We're just going to do a little bit. It's like when somebody says, they're just going to put the tip in. Don't let nobody play you like that. Ain't nobody that dumb. Okay. Like that's not even a thing. That's not a thing. Don't let people play with you like that. Okay. And now they're talking about they're going to occupy all of southern Lebanon. What are you doing? But for what? Aren't we trying to get this peace deal done? Like, what are you doing? Why? You know that is an issue for them. Why are you doing this, causing issues when we're so close? Oh, because the last time we were this close, they blew up everybody that we were negotiating with. And then people are like, oh, it's so long. It's going on so long. And now we talk about the people that are actually against Israel, right? We talk about the people that are actually against Israel and the Democrats that are so anti-AIPAC and all of this nonsense. You don't hear any of them talking about that. Why? Because if they talked about it, it might make Trump look good. See, and this is the very, very big problem. It's a very, very big problem. Somebody said, I heard Israel and the U.S. are talking about merging. I let it go, and then I never heard anything from a different source. So it's not that the U.S. and Israel are talking about merging. They're talking about merging our militaries, which I'm completely against. And essentially what it is a greater integration of Israel's military with ours. I don't want that. I don't trust Israel the same way I don't trust nobody else, but I really don't trust Israel because they're really good at espionage and intelligence and subversion. So I can't trust them with nothing to do with any of our systems, nothing to do with any of our military, nothing to do with any of that. You can't trust them. They blowing people up with pagers. They blowing up people with cell phones. Okay. Then Netanyahu, who don't nobody like, by the way, they don't really like him over there either. They've been protesting against him since before October 7th. Okay. But he was making a joke. He was like, you see the cell phone, all of the all of you Americans, all of you guys have, I like the way he talks though, it's funny. And he's like, all of you Americans, all of you guys have cell phones. You got a little piece of Israel in your pocket. And remember that. Talking about, basically it's a threat. He's threatening us that not only are they watching us, but they can blow us up if they want to. Now, if you guys remember a couple years ago, we had all of these mysterious explosions in different cell phones that were going on. And then Israel blew up a whole bunch of people with pagers in Iran. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't just Iran. It was like Lebanon and some other countries too. Syria also. So, but yeah, we know they have the means. We know they have the ability. And we know that they have the wherewithal and the concept that they want to do it. They'll do whatever they can to help uplift their nation. I am not mad at that. I think that's great for them, but it's not good for us. So we have to look out for number one, which is the United States of America. If we're not looking out for the United States of America and we're worried about all these other countries, I ain't worried about no other country. If any single one or all of them fell off the map tomorrow, I would not care. I'd have zero concern. You know why? I don't live there. I don't live there. I don't care. They have their own people. They have their own government. They can do for themselves. That's the same reason why I feel the same way about the illegal aliens. Send them all back. Let their own countries deal with them. That's their people. We got to worry about our people. We got homeless veterans. We got parents that need food in the house. We got a housing crisis, allegedly, which is a whole nother conversation. But these are things that we need to address here. We need to take care of our home. We need to take care of our people. We need to take care of the interests of the United States of America. And I don't give a flying monkey's uncle whether it's Russia. I don't care if it's England. I don't care if it's France. I don't care if it's Israel. I don't care if it's Australia. Okay, I do not care. We need to have one priority, and that one priority is America and America alone. That's it. Just ourselves. Okay. Why? Because everybody else has their own self-interest. And as we were talking earlier, we got somebody going to be real mad at me now. And at this point, I really, frankly, don't care because I'm about fed up, because I post stuff that's like, oh, well, I see what Israel's doing. That's not bad. People are trying to be harsher on Israel than necessary. This, that, and the third, da, 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 da. I don't get anything for that. But let me say that, Israel is working on the Greater Israel Project. Go look that up. Israel is working on the Greater Israel Project, which they've said that they are, which Bibi Netanyahu has said that they are. Okay, which there was the guy that was the major general that they just got let go about October 7th, which he said that they were. Okay, you talk about that. No, you're anti-citrus. What? Who's stupid? And then they're like, oh, well, you're Christian, so you got to support them. Support who? Support who? A secular country that stole a name out of the Bible? A secular country. Y'all know Israel is a secular country, right? Like it's important to me that you know that Israel is a secular country. They don't have a religion. That's important to me that you know that. Okay? So all of these people, they're like, oh, well, it's the Jewish people, whatever. They're secular. Most of them are secular. Over 45% of the country is secular. Okay? That we know of. You know how respondents are. They don't really respond to a lot of stuff when you put out the different things. But that comes from their government numbers. I think it's something like 54% of Tel Aviv is no religion at all. Not just no religion, no belief at all. No faith, don't even believe in God at all. What do they call that? Agnostic? Okay, like what are we even doing here? Okay, but because they're ethnically, I'm using air quotes, y'all, ethnically European Jewish from the Khazar region, which is Ukraine, which is a whole nother conversation. Okay, from that region, I got to bow the knee to them, to God alone, y'all, to God alone. Okay, that's it. That's it. I'm absolutely not with it. And I'm very sick and tired because I want to stand up for my country, because I want to stand up for the US, because I want to stand up for our interests as a country. Somebody telling me I can't say anything about them. You got all of these people that say all the craziest stuff about Israel out there, and you coming at me, dog? Like, please stop playing in my face. Stop it. Stop. Oh, I know that Israel doesn't care for us. Okay? I've got friends that go over there as missionaries and stuff like that. They spit on us. They throw stuff at us. If you didn't see the news, because you probably didn't see the news because they don't put it on the news, they beat up a whole bunch of nuns over there a couple of days ago. I think this was, what day is it? This is 15th today. So it would have been like about a week and a half ago. They beat up some nuns over there. Okay, they're constantly spitting on our people. They tried to pass a law that said that you can't preach the gospel over there. And they tried to pass a law in the United States talking about that if you say that the Jews killed Jesus, that they're going to put you in jail. Go look that up. That is a real law. And that passed in the House of Representatives. It passed in the United States Congress. It just didn't go through the Senate yet. May it die. Okay, so but these are the important levels of conversations that we need to have. Okay, because it's not about religion. That's the trick that they try to play you on, right? They try to play you on religion because, yes, I said spit. They try to play you on religion and they try to make it, oh, well, anybody that's ethnically Jewish is a Jew. Okay, so what do you mean by Jew? Do you mean secular? Do you mean ethnicity? Or do you mean religious practice? Like, don't play in my face. And then they be yelling, hate crime, hate crime. I'm laughing because it's funny, because it's so crazy that it's not even funny at all. You got to laugh to keep from crying. You got to laugh to keep from crying. So this is a very, very serious issue. Okay. And then if we were to say, okay, well, they are Jews, we do accept that they are religious Jews, which they're not. But if we were to say that they accept that, they deny Jesus Christ. They deny Jesus Christ. Why am I concerned as a Christian with anybody that is over there blowing up Christian towns, burning the oldest Christian town in the Middle East to the ground, okay, desecrating statues of Jesus? Why? Why would I carry water for a group or a country like that? Why would I do that when they hate us? Why would I do that? You understand what I'm saying? I don't feel any two types of ways about them. I don't have any feelings reserved or unreserved about them. But I'm not stupid. I got eyes and ears and I can see and I can hear what's going on. Okay? Like, why can't we have that conversation? Because you're anti-citrus. Don't be anti-citrus, y'all. It's real serious. It's despicable. It's despicable. And then I want to point this out there, and I think this is very important. There are a lot of Jews around the world that don't like Israel, even in concept, right? Because their whole thing is they know that they were kicked out of that land by God, right? But these are the religious ones, right? They know that they were kicked out of that land by God, and they see it as a spit in the eye of God by trying to go back there, even though clearly they're not supposed to. So that's a whole nother thing. But there are these Christians that'll tell you, oh, they need to do it so that it can usher in the apocalypse. Who's stupid? You want to usher in the apocalypse? Don't tell me that I'm anti-citrus when you want to usher in the apocalypse. Later for that noise. Okay, somebody ain't going to be happy today because I'm telling the whole truth. All right? Y'all want to usher, well, that needs to happen because we need to usher in the apocalypse. No, you don't. The book of Revelation is a warning to be heeded so you don't do that, right? So you can see what's coming up, what people are trying to do, so you can stop it. It's the same way they warned Sodom and Gomorrah. It's the same way they warned Israel, Judea, which one was the country that turned back? Nineveh. Nineveh repented. Okay. And this is a situation over and over and over again. Prophets were sent with warnings. And if you did not heed those warnings, what happened? God did it. Okay. The book of Revelation is a prophecy. Everybody agrees on that. But a prophecy of disaster and calamity is something that needs to be avoided. The Bible is very clear on that again and again and again and again. But they want to tell you, oh, yeah, they need to rebuild the temple. They need to go back over there. We got to support them with ushering in the end of times, which is against the design of God, which he warned. He gave us. It wasn't a small warning, right? It wasn't a small warning that God gave us about what's going on over there right now. He gave us a whole book of the Bible. Anyway, back to it. Again, this goes back to me having issues with our own Christians, okay? So this ain't about nobody else. This ain't about no Jews. This ain't about no other country. This ain't about nothing. That specific part right there was completely about me and other Christians because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of this. All of this false doctrine, all of this empty lies, all of this ridiculousness that they try to convince you that's not true when clearly you can read scripture for yourself. So unless you're retarded, you wouldn't interpret it that way. Why? Because somebody told you to interpret it that way? I'm sorry. I got a little bit of a feeling. You understand what I'm saying? I had a little bit of an emotion there. Don't judge me. So anyway, back to it. Somebody said, but we as Black people can't be protected. Please don't even get me started on that. What did the government pass a whole bunch? Look at New York State. We'll give New York State as an example. They passed protections for the Jews, right? They passed protection for alphabet people, right? They passed protections for Muslims, right? They passed protections for Asians, right? They didn't pass no protections for no Black people. They didn't pass no protections for no Christians. What's up with that? Not for Christians, not for Black folk? Why is that? Why are there no protections for us? Make it make sense. Okay, can we talk about that? Somebody said we need peace in the U.S. Well, we need these people that are in our country to stop trying to tear down our country from the inside. Okay, we got these people working for all of these foreign assets. We got the people working for China. We got the people working for Korea. We got the people working North and South Korea. That's a whole nother conversation, which we should talk about South Korea. I got some time. I'll talk about South Korea in a second. But we got all of these people trying to tear us down. We got the Islamists inside our country now. It's a serious problem. It is a very, very serious problem. Somebody said the colors of the horsemen are the colors of the Islamic flag, and that's undeniable. That is a true fact. So this is a serious issue, but who's out here trying to tell us that we need to accept all religions and all religions are equally good and all of this stuff, and that they're building all of this love headquarters where the Jews and the Christians and the Islamists not the Islamists, I'm sorry, and the Muslims and everybody can be all together and happy, joy. Man, we should have no fellowship with any of those who do not believe in Christ. Any of those who reject Christ, we as Christians should not be having fellowship with. That is a very serious problem. It goes directly against scripture. And you're letting these people out here playing in your face like this ridiculous apostate pope talking about, oh, all religions equally lead to God and heaven. Spit on the ground, okay? Like, how dare you? And you supposed to be the pope? Apostasy. Anyway, him, the rest of them too. I got It's a serious issue. It's a very big problem. And we need to stand up and we need to push back, because we got people inside this country telling us that we need to be doing all of these isms and all of these different things: feminism, Marxism, communism, socialism, this, that, and the third, alphabetism, all of it. Why? Because they want to destabilize the family. They want to destabilize the country because they know that the family is the smallest group of governance that you can have. So if they destroy the family, to kill off the babies, they take the fathers out of the home, they know that they can have more control. Okay? Like, that's a very serious thing. Very serious thing, you know? But people don't want to identify that that's what's going on. And I mean, even if you were to identify, yeah, that's going on, you'd say, oh, well, the elites are doing that. Yeah, the elites are doing that. Can we at least acknowledge not to forget that? Can we talk about that for a moment? And let's jump into South Korea real quick, because I bet y'all ain't even heard nothing of what's going on in South Korea. Drink water, stay hydrated. So China been running a raw riot all up and down through South Korea. They're in every branch of South Korea's government. They've taken over the major party in the Democrat. Is it the Democrat Party over there? I forget which party it is. I'm pretty sure it's the Democrat Party over there. It's a little different than ours. But whatever the leading party over there is, China's co-opted them. The previous president tried to issue martial law, talking about China's invaded their country with all of these different secret agents and stuff like that, and they're all throughout the government and everything. He wasn't wrong. But then they tried to turn against him and all of this and all of that, and it was a bad show. And this happened about a year ago now. I think about a year ago. And now they just had a vote for all of the local elections in South Korea, and somehow magically the electric machines that do all of the ballots were not quite working right. And the paper ballots, there just weren't enough paper ballots for people to come in and get and process. And this is a serious issue, but where have we heard this before? What other modern westernized nation have we heard that has happened in before? Oh no, we can't talk about that. That would be too much like right. You mean elections where the digital voting machines weren't quite working right? You mean where there were only ballots being printed out for certain parties, where there weren't enough ballots for everybody that wanted to go and vote? We've never heard of anything like that happening before. Perish the thought. I'm being sarcastic if you don't understand. Okay. Somebody said California, not just California, right? Maricopa County. Okay. We got Georgia. Okay. We got Fulton County. We got all types of other places. I'm not even going to dig into it now. It wasn't widespread fraud, but it was fraud in a lot of places with a lot of people, right? Define widespread. Okay. Because they went to there was no fraud to it's not widespread fraud. And now that's their whole thing. But anyway, in South Korea, everybody was mad. And now they're throwing up their hands and they want re-elections over there. They want re-elections because they said, y'all cheated us out of our regular election, which the United States almost did that here, except a whole bunch of punk behind babies wouldn't follow through on it. Okay? Nonsense. Now everybody all scared because of what they did to the people that were in Washington on January 6th that didn't actually even do anything, that had no weapons, that just were trying to stand up for our country and our votes, which, oh, by the way, never really got the due diligence of election, and a whole bunch of election documents were destroyed after that point when Biden's regime came in with Harris. But hey, talking about real things too much, can't talk about election integrity. That's nothing of any importance. But back to South Korea. So the Chinese are all up, down, and through South Korea. They're running everything down there. People need to wake up. The United States needs to wake up. And the people, the party over there is trying to push the United States out of South Korea so that China can basically consolidate their gains over there with North Korea and South Korea so that they can have ultimate power in that area. People need to wake up to what is going on. But what we often see in America is we are too self-centered and too self-focused and too self-occupied and too much in our own personal feelings. There goes that pride again that we talked about at the beginning of the show. Too much in our own pride that we don't understand that there is a whole nother world out there, and there are a lot more aspects of many different things that are going on across the world. I'm interested to see how this whole thing turns out with South Korea. It's very, very serious, and I'm praying that there is a good resolution. I wish they had that other president really had issued martial law and really would have locked up all of them people. That would have been good. But we are where we are now. Also, pray for the Philippines because China's giving them a whole hard time. So we'll see what happens there. Somebody said we're boycotting Chinese food. Who's boycotting Chinese food? I wasn't eating Chinese food before. I didn't know we boycotting Chinese food. What is going on? I don't know. I don't mess with nobody that ain't me anyway. Like, not really. Like, I gotta personally know somebody to do business with them if they're not American. And a lot of Chinese people are American. So, I mean, what are you talking about? I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. Somebody said something about boycotting Chinese food. I haven't eaten Chinese food in like, I don't know, 2 years. So I don't know about boycotting something that I ain't already doing. Anyway, back to brass tacks. Maybe we should boycott anything from China, but we can't boycott anything from China because China itself is a mass production house of everything in manufacturing. They make everything from your lights to your toilets to the transmitters that are in your electric systems outside. Like, this is why we need to reshore everything that we're doing right now that we need for our country, because it's something that's very important. It's about us being able to defend ourselves if something is to happen and provide for ourselves. It's about our ability to have manufacturing sovereignty, our ability to have economic sovereignty and not be tied to the biggest opposition. It's the biggest op in the world, right? Like, why are we messing with them at all? And this is why I'm very happy with what's going on with this. Somebody said cheap goods. That's exactly why. Don't get me started on that. And that's how they tricked us. But we need to definitely decouple completely as much as possible from China as fast as possible. That's why I'm kind of thankful for this administration, because they're really working on doing that. That's what's up. That's what's up. And as many issues as I got with Elon Musk, he's really making some move on these computer chips right now. Okay. And the Terafab facility, that's going to be big business. Okay. Creating those here in the US. Plus, they've got NVIDIA's supposed to be doing some stuff here. We got a number of other processors and photonics companies that are working here. So we'll see how that works out. But a lot of those plants take a long time to build. But the Terafab factory is going to be up and running probably by the end of next year. Okay, so Elon Musk is doing big things. Don't count him out. I'm not a fan of him, as many of you know, but don't count him out what he's doing. It's really serious. It's impressive also, which goes into the IPO that they just did for SpaceX, right? So that was a big deal. Now, it's also being said that they might merge SpaceX and Tesla, which I'm sure that they will at some point. It only makes sense. So that might be coming up. But there's some big opportunities that are coming there from that. Now, he's even a trillionaire. I'm very concerned about him. But again, I digress. When we talk about these type of things, if we don't have production of all of our basic necessities in the United States, we become very vulnerable to any type of international conflict. Seeing that we have so much stuff that's made in China, that comes from China, if our supply chains were broken or anything like that, remember Evergrande during COVID, when the Evergrande, that was a Chinese ship, magically got stuck in the Suez Canal? Magically, just magically happened. I'm doing magic fingers if you can't see me on the radio. So it's crazy. Like, what is going on? Hit that like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. If you want to support the show, you can actually work to do that by going online. You can see over here on either side of the screen, we got Cash App, $MW Real One. We got also PayPal, and do we have Venmo? I believe we have PayPal and Venmo, and that's at Marcus C. Williams. And you can donate there to help support the show and us making more stuff. So please help, please support, or you can, down below is also the link, I believe, depending, or up, what is it? Down or over to the side, depending on whether you're vertical or you're horizontal. So anyway, let's get back to it. So as we finish up a lot of this conversation here, somebody said universal basic income. Yeah, Elon was right about universal basic income. I can't stand the concept, but it's something that we're going to need as AI takes over more and more jobs, and as automation takes over more and more jobs. This also is why we have to bring all of the manufacturing back to the United States. Because imagine if we're not manufacturing anything, that means that we can't sell it, which means that we can only buy stuff. So if we're only buying stuff and something happens where nobody has jobs anymore, how are they going to get money to buy stuff? This is another reason why we need to reshore stuff, but it's also part of a bigger reason why we need to send all these illegal aliens back, okay? I'm also for denaturalization of a whole bunch of these people, okay, that are preaching all of this hate against our country internally. And I believe that a lot of these people on these visas, we need to cut out all of these student visas from across the world. I don't care where they're from. We don't need no students from no other countries. Why are we not educating our own people? Then you got places like the U of R here where I live. They're like, oh, woe is us. Our money in our pockets are hurting because all of the foreign students aren't coming in the massive numbers that they used to be coming in. You mean to tell me that your whole deal is that you're getting money from international students instead of focusing on our American citizens? That sounds like a very serious problem when you're supposed to be an American institution, especially one that has so many high value contracts with our military and with our government. That seems like a real problem to me. But can we have that conversation or no? Maybe that's too much like right. But as we go forward, we got to bring back manufacturing, because like I said, any little thing could cut off our supply lines. And if we get everything from China, that's a problem. If everything is made in China and we got to order parts from China, if something breaks down, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And that's the conversation that we need to have. We can move forward, but it's going to be together by restoring our nation and focusing only on America, not another country, not no other country should we be focusing on. I don't care if it's an ally. I don't care if it's an enemy. We ain't got no business focusing on nobody that's against against what we need for ourselves, or anybody that has their own vested interests, or anybody that with whatever we're working on together isn't going to benefit us. America only, America only, America only. I'll catch you guys later. Remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Hit the like button, drop some comments. If you're on the radio, I'll catch you guys next week, 2:30 to 4 p.m. on WRFZ 106.3. Y'all be blessed and be well. Okay, so as we have this conversation, you guys, we are very close to the point in which we are going to be behind the 8 ball and not able to recover. So this is why we need to reshore everything. This is why we need Congress to reposition themselves to only be focused on American citizens and what we can do. We've got this overarching issue with all of this stuff that's going on right now, where we've got all of this surveillance that's going on, where we've got all of this digital and tokenization going on, which we don't talk about, which doesn't come up in conversation, and it's dangerous. I heard Basant talking the other day about the tokenization of everything, and he was like, oh yeah, the stable coins and the altcoins and all of that stuff is fine. It's not fine. All of that stuff is on the blockchain. What's the purpose of the blockchain, y'all? The purpose of the blockchain is to trace every single type of transaction that you're doing and to categorize it and to itemize it and to show where it come from and where it goes. People are like, oh, it's anonymous. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's completely against what's going on with what happens when they actually do digital stuff. Like somebody said, it's by design. It's absolutely by design. It's absolutely by design. And it's a serious, serious issue. And we need to focus on what we can do and what can be done and what can be changed. And we can do it. But we got to hold our elected officials accountable. We got to make sure that what's happening on the state and the federal level is actually benefiting us as citizens. We got to make sure that what's going on is actually good for us. And that's a serious issue that we're not seeing right now. And it's not happening. And it's not, I don't know what we do if it doesn't get addressed. If it doesn't get addressed soon, we're going to have such a high level of issues that we're not going to be able to recover. That's why it's time for you to get active locally where you are. Because where can we do something to get active and get done stuff locally? Local policy. Local policy is where you need to get going at. You need to get going locally, city council, school board, whatever, engage them on policy, engage them on budget, and really start to find out what's going on so that you can make a difference. Because if it's not you, then nobody is going to. And that's how we can see a change in our country. But we have to make sure that we're focusing on the city, on the citizens, and not letting them do whatever they will to tear us down. Because they want us separated, they want us divided. That's why you see so many people talking about their team, their team, their team, and their team can do no wrong. The Democrats can do no wrong. The Republicans can do no wrong. It's a serious problem. And it's just blatantly false. It's not true. And I know that you care because that's why you're listening here. So I encourage you guys, share this message, hit the comments, get this message out there, and make sure you're subscribed and following. Catch y'all later. Be blessed and be well. Remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Let's see.